So as a result of my poor planning and alcoholism, we don't have script for today. We're also one man down. So how do we want to do this?
One
The
sec,
motherfucker is streaming.
the asshole streaming fucking 16.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, before we get started, because
I'm
I
gonna
figured
go call him stupid.
Hey, saying.
You know what? Same. Hang on. Hey, let's all fucking do it.
Just invade and say, "Hey, start recording." He's not gonna see it. He's fighting a boss.
Oh boy. I know. He's gonna see it after he's done with the boss and we're gone.
Well, I've been subscribed to him for 11 months, so
Oh, we have the same idea then.
yeah.
You know what? We're gonna go with the default.
Whoa. Sorry, I'm so focused on everything. What is happening? Hey,
Love wins!
Jen, Short, Yukki, how you guys doing? Scared me for a second. I looked over and there's almost a hype train starting. Double Jen thanks the subs. They want to be mean to you, but I said it was a bad idea.
Of course,
Yeah,
he pays
guys,
attention to the
my-
money.
Yeah, he pays attention to the money.
Or the one guy being nice to him.
Yeah, oh man. That's going in the intro. I've been recording this whole time.
Oopsie! Feel a burp coming on!
Good morning, evening, or whenever you're listening to us, and welcome back, finally, the Program Advanced Podcast. Yes, the only Final Fantasy XVI podcast that occasionally also talks about Mega Man Battle Network and Megaman NT Warrior. I am Double, your conductor, as always, and if I sound a little frazzled and out of it, it's because I'm recovering from a pretty hefty night of drinking. Anyways, joining me today is three of my bestest friends, because one of them decided to go fucking stream Final Fantasy 16 bio.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
What was the
fuck that.
justification?
Look at me,
for
I'm
that?
bio. I got the game for free. Ooh, I got to meet Yoshi P. Ooh.
Ooh, I got to kiss Yoshi P on his little mouth.
I mean,
Ooh, maybe
I
slipped
also
in a little bit of
technically got
tongue.
The game for free, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
But I think he just doesn't want to fall.
Yeah, but
behind.
you got the
That
game
is-
for
he's gonna-
free, but you're here.
Well, so
That's
yeah,
entirely
so to be fair, I understand the justification. He is a content creator. He has to create content. He has been behind in making Final Fantasy 16 content, likely due to being busy and also being a father. Something none of you three degenerates know anything about.
I'm Dominican.
I'm
Give
not
me
a
a week.
degenerate.
I have a cat.
These are all really good responses to that. Thank you. So I get why he's busy, and I get that he wants to do that. I'm just saying, we miss you, buddy, but also fuck you. No. So yeah, joining me today is Shorah. I also, because of my drinking, I don't have any pithy one-liners to introduce everybody, so just go with it. Shorah, Yukki,
Hello.
and Jin.
Twewy and KH4, I right?
What?
That's my only one-liner. Twewy and KH4.
Oh
Or I
yeah,
right.
yeah. No, that's not happening.
I'm gonna get very mad, Nomura-san.
No, that's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no. I intend to seethe and mauled with the best of them when it doesn't.
So yeah, the episode is obviously a couple weeks late because Final Fantasy 16 and scheduling conflicts, but primarily Final Fantasy 16. I've completed the game, but I know I'm the only one here who has. So we're gonna keep spoilers light if you're, or actually not at all really. I really just want to talk about the combat, because that's really the only thing I have a problem with in the game. I don't know what
You wanna-
like have you guys? I know you haven't played it yet, Jen, but do you guys like have a problem with this being the direction of Final Fantasy?
Not too much. I
There's a
don't
small
mind
part of
them
me that-
changing it up a bit.
There's a small part of me that wants to see Final Fantasy go back towards like more fantasy aesthetics than realistic aesthetics, but like I'm also the kid who grew up with his exposure to Final Fantasy being Kingdom Hearts. So like, you know.
I'm never gonna be one of these like losers that says, "Oh, this ain't Final Fantasy," because it is very clearly Final Fantasy. All right,
I mean, yeah, it's
not even talking
yeah.
about like chocobos and bombs and all the other like monsters that get put into the game, but from a pure story beat standpoint, you've got a androgynous man who closes his fist a lot and talks to his hand and can use magic and swords. Like that's Final Fantasy. And obviously I'm not going to talk about the plot, but the plot is also a very Final Fantasy plot. My sticking point with the combat is everybody build it as like a Devil May Cry, right? Like a character action game. And to a degree I see where they're coming from because obviously they got one of the Devil May Cry guys to work on it. But in reality, outside of the boss fights, I feel it's actually closer to like a Musou game, like a Dynasty Warriors almost, because
That makes sense.
yeah, the game throws a ton of enemies at you, and a lot of your abilities are really just coded to you mowing down these like chumps, right? Ignition, the one of the primary fire abilities, it literally just carries you and carries your enemies that you run into along with you as you travel across the arena, right? And then you have other AoE abilities. So it's basically a Musou game up until the boss fights. My problem is, like you, I grew up with a certain expectation, I guess, of Final Fantasy combat. And I'm not saying that they have to go back to turn-based because that's probably not going to happen. But this character action to me it just doesn't really feel that good, I guess is what I'm getting at. I'm not too big a fan of the depth being pick 3 abilities that you like and chain them together for stagger damage, and then when you have an enemy staggered, chain them together again for HP damage. You know what I mean? Like it's not really that deep. At least that's my opinion on it.
I haven't even turned the game on yet, so I
Yeah, no, I know.
I
I'm
did
like-
think it looked a little bit like you said, a character action game. I chalked up to Devil May Cry just because I guess the overall aesthetic of the enemies and the flashiness of the combat when it is on screen. But I see what you're saying there because with Devil May Cry, like the goal is get the hardest possible difficulty and style on things for several minutes at a time just to finish up one fight, and that's sort of the antithesis of like a Final Fantasy game where you do tend to want to mow down the mooks.
Mhm.
As far as like the direction of gameplay goes, I think this is totally fine. If you look at Square Enix and the selection they have available, they're more than covered on like traditional RPGs and the directions those are going. I think we have a much more like solid foundation for those in something like Octopath or Bravely Default because of how they've sort of mixed up the way combat works in those games. And to see Final Fantasy go somewhere different after, not 15 games because it was also somewhat similar for Final Fantasy 15, but after 13 games is fine.
Yeah, and I agree to that extent. I just think that this specific instance, like the way Final Fantasy VII Remake handles combat, to me is what I would consider the ideal version. I mean, maybe not ideal. There are some problems, but working towards the ideal version of character action / menu driven RPG combat, right? I think that's a good balance. I feel 16 leans a little bit too far away from that, if that makes sense. But that's just a personal opinion. The rest of the game is really good. I'm not shitting on 16. I think 16 is a fantastic game. It's just the combat, especially after you put 30 hours into it, it just feels when they throw regular dudes at you, I'm just like, man, just throw a boss at me. Make it a boss rush. I'm tired of these like fucking wolves or whatever. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Defeat the zombie wolves again.
Yeah. Except this time we gave you 10. Yeah.
Which is funny because that's sort of the bread and butter of an RPG. Is here's the same 16 encounters in this area, get into 12 of them before you get to leave.
Well, I saw I know we all follow, well, I don't know about you, Jen, but because I know you're not on social media, but I know we follow a lot of the same people on Twitter, and I do remember seeing a discussion. I think Jason, and Vignon on Twitter, brought up Kingdom Hearts, which is a game we have all played, having probably the best example of enemy design in terms of, okay, we want to throw mooks at you. The Heartless and the Nobodies are fantastic for this, because even the most generic one, right, a Shadow, is still interesting enough and varied enough that you can scatter it amongst the more unique Heartless, and they can kind of fit in almost any part of the game. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like in Kingdom Hearts 1, if you go to Hollow Bastion, you'll see a defender or a wizard surrounded by like 5 shadows. And that just makes it interesting, because you have to contend with these little shits while you're also trying to deal with the guy with the big ass shield that can breathe fire. Whereas in 16, it's wolves, or it's zombies, or it's you occasionally you might see a big zombie with a hammer. You know what I mean? Like there's not enough, I guess, variety to make it interesting, especially when I can just gather them all up in a clump and then hit them with my AoE abilities and kill them in like fraction of a second.
Right, and then the other side of that, potentially, again, I don't know what I'm talking about, was whereas Final Fantasy tends to lean more on rekillers of the same thing to do, like designate difficulty. Kingdom Hearts will keep the exact same enemy design, so it feels a little bit less reused and more like, sure, it's still a little Shadow, but it's level 15 now instead of level 1. Or
Right,
whatever.
yeah. They scale it up, yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I enjoyed my time with 16. Story was excellent. If you like Final Fantasy 14, you'll probably like every set piece in 16. I can't think of a thing I hated about like the boss fights or anything like that. They were all extremely stylish and cool. Soken, the music director, knocked it out of the fucking park.
I'm only like 2 streams into Final Fantasy 16, and that game has made me come like a lot from the boss fights.
And you haven't gotten demonetized yet or whatever?
Nah, Twitch can't get me.
Twitch can't get me.
Okay.
I will say that Chris Wolfhart on Twitter, I think maybe because they do a podcast called Big Think Dimension, and I think they started labeling the main character Clive as Clive Huge Tits.
Appropriate.
Which is appropriate. That dude, man, how he got bigger.
There is a reason why. There's a reason why my current Twitter display name is Clive Milking Squad.
So is he just like shredded?
Oh, dude, he's got bigger tits than Tifa from 7. If I'll be honest,
on the roids, understood.
Yeah. But
dude, you put me in a room with Clive, and one of us is going to be pregnant, and it's going to be me.
Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, so that was the FF16 discussion. Like I said, no spoilers. We also occasionally like to play a little thing called Megaman.
What the fuck is that?
I don't remember. All I know is chocobos.
Speaking of Megaman, I tried out the Gravity Circuit demo earlier today. Pretty good game.
The what?
I'm looking forward to it coming out. Gravity Circuit. It's like it's a 2D platformer. It sounds a lot like Mega Man. It feels a lot like one part Gundam, one part Mega Man. I'll send you a link later.
Okay. Yeah.
Very flashy, very nice.
I remember there was a Mega Man Legends styled indie game that came out recently, and I can't remember the name of it. I remember wanting to.
I think it's Proto Droid Delta or something along those lines.
That is it. I do remember. Yep, that is. I'm looking at it on Steam now. Thank you. I was looking for it earlier and I could not find it.
There's the store page in chat, by the way.
Sick. And that is cool that we have a lot of indie developers that are kind of picking up the Mega Man mantle, because Capcom
They've been having some trouble.
They've been having a little bit of trouble getting new stuff out. They've been
what, like 3 months and no patches for the Legacy Collection, despite all the bugs that have been documented.
Yeah. I can't.
The fact that they use the Japanese ROMs for the back end, all this that didn't have the bug fixes that came with the NA release. That's fun.
I can't say anything about Capcom because
Understood.
But I will say that it is a little strange that their mega hit, because the Legacy Collection has been a breakaway hit. Like, people love Battle Network, and they have bought the Battle Network Legacy Collection in droves. It is their fastest selling Mega Man title. I do believe that is incredibly strange that they have not patched any of the bugs. They have not announced maybe a online tournament. They have not. It seems like they're content to just be okay with the release of a pretty well-received title that sold a lot and go, okay, cool.
I might be
I think they probably
didn't the director also step down or get fired recently for Mega Man? So that might be part of it. Where
I think he stepped down for a little bit.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah,
because he also did Street Fighter,
which I do understand that if you're being split between two different projects and you finally get, they both come out and they're both pretty well received. Street Fighter 6 is doing fantastic, and obviously the Legacy Collection did well. You want a break, like you need a vacation. I totally get it. But I figured that Capcom, being the mega big company that they are, would have had something on hand to kind of keep the support rolling for at least the Legacy Collection. Obviously, Street Fighter 6 is seeing a lot of support, but
the only thing I can assume is the second the Battle Network release, they probably just took whatever team was working on that and went, "Hey, we're still recovering from all that COVID shit. We need you over here."
Honestly, that is probably what happened. They probably got shifted to a new project almost immediately.
Yeah, because like a few weeks ago, I think it was, we just got the announcement for the Apollo Justice Collection, and from that leak, it was apparently supposed to be released like 2 years ago. So, and we would have had Ace Attorney 7 by now because that was also part of that leak. So it's like, it's probably just COVID really fucked things up over at Capcom and like other businesses. So they probably just release Mega Man, focus on everything else. If we need time to fix whatever Mega Man thing is happening, do that later. Other stuff first.
Well,
it's also not like there's huge game-breaking bugs in the Legacy Collection, right? Sprites don't load in the correct direction, or on the virtual Switch version for the Elecman scenario in BN1, if you jack in, it sometimes crashes your game, or it's nothing that we haven't come to expect. And it's also, remember, these aren't like remakes in the traditional sense. They're just all the ROMs for the GEA games with a, for lack of a better term, front end or some nice window panes around it.
Right.
No one's actually gone in and like really fixed anything, except for, I believe, some of the PvP bugs, like what was it? Prism and Tree Bomb? Yeah, the Prism Tree Bomb bug, where you could throw a Tree Bomb into a Prism and do like 100 damage every frame for like 3 seconds.
If I remember correctly, the roll mod card glitch also got patched out. So just bullshit stuff for PvP pretty much just got removed.
Right.
Which led me to believe that they were really interested in maybe doing some sort of online tournament support, or like, I know they have a ladder, but like, who fucking cares, right?
Right. You also have to realize that like Battle Network has sort of belonged to the fan base for the past 20 years.
That is true. Yeah.
We had everything the Legacy Collection gave us, except like, online ranked PvP, years before Capcom even like teased it. The Legacy Collection, if they wanted to add anything to it, they were gonna have to bust their asses to give us anything we didn't already have.
Yeah, and to be fair, structured PvP has existed in the form of the N1GP community run Battle Network server, right? Like they
Right.
do tournaments all the fucking time. So even if structured PvP was the only thing you cared about, which for me was kind of, I don't want to say the only thing I cared about, but it was the thing I was mainly interested in from Battle Network. We have a thing for it. We have a system for it. So
Right, and then if they wanted to come in and get in the way of that, that raises issues as to who owns what or which events are allowed and which ones aren't, and what gets to exist per Japanese copyright law or whatever. If they got into the PvP scene, there's a lot of emulation they'd have to crack down on. Honestly, I know Tango lets you use the ROMs from the Legacy Collection, but that's probably not the way most people are playing.
All right. And yeah, then as far
the N1 GP.
Oh God, yeah. Thank you. Good transition.
Oh shit, we anime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the anime.
So
it's been about 30 minutes. We should probably get started.
Yeah, there is. So I was gonna say, since we are missing bio, let's just do 4 episodes today. So that would be episode 12, 13, 14, and 15. Like I said, we don't have a script because I'm an alcoholic. So I'll just take the fucking first one, and then whoever wants the second, unless somebody really wants to do the Melu versus Maddie match.
I hated this entire episode. I will gladly.
I will be completely honest, right? These episodes are fucking garbage. They are.
Yeah.
They are monster of the week.
One good one between all 4
pretty
of the ones we're
nothing.
talking about.
Yeah, like we stretch these episodes out to talk about, just random shit, because we know that these initial episodes of NT Warrior are mostly fucking nothing. Like, I love
Honestly,
Megaman, and I still think that this is just boring schlock.
Honestly, best parts of this episode were A, seeing this unnamed NetNavi with a cool design.
Yeah. Yeah.
And B, that moment where Wacko Man went, "Oh, I'm feeling a burp coming on."
that
Random voice change.
Thank you for that,
Yeah.
because that is I was thinking about that, and I'm like, should that be the part that goes after the intro? Yeah, that should probably be the part that goes after the intro. Okay, so episode 12 is called Clash Pink Spark in Japanese. But the English title is Wacky Madness and Blazing Battles. Part
This
1,
episode
sorry.
immediately manages to pass the Bechdel test. That's the only other compliment I can really give it.
I wouldn't even call that a compliment. Even the creator of the Bechdel test says it's basically useless.
Yeah.
Well, now I gotta Google what the Bechdel test is.
2
The
women
Bechdel
talk
test-
about something that's not a man. It passes the Bechdel test.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Nope, yep, you're right.
That's it. A piece of media just has to have 2 women to have a conversation that does not involve a man. That's the basics of the fucking Bechdel test.
I feel
and there are so many things that do not pass it. It's hilarious.
I feel incredibly bad that I didn't know what the Bechdel test was. I've heard it before, I just could not remember what it was, and as soon as I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, okay.
It's okay. You're recovering from a night of glass skull tequila.
Which
Your Dan Aykroyd
which
It's
which
fine.
if I'm being honest, my party last night did not pass the Bechdel test. There were just nothing but dudes there.
Yeah, doesn't surprise.
So
like,
sorry, yeah.
this episode is pretty basic concept. It's yet another match of the N1 GP. We gotta pad out the inevitable fucking rematch between Torchman and Megaman. So what do we do to pad that out? It's Maddie, fuck that bitch. We'll have her lose to Melu.
I mean, like, it's not even the fact that this is a fight that happens, because half of this episode, like, the first half of this episode is just justification for Yai and Melu getting mad at Maddie.
Yeah.
And then the other half is a split between the fight between Wacko Man, Color Man, whatever you want to call him, and Roll. And then the first, like, 10th of the fight between Megaman and Torchman.
Yeah.
Yep.
This whole fight happens because Maddie insulted fucking Yai's forehead.
Oh no, it's not just that. You probably watched the English. In the Japanese, this fight starts because Maddie calls Melu flat-chested.
Of course.
She's a 30-year-old woman comparing bust sizes to a 10-year-old girl. She walks up to the two. She's like, "Oh, you're pretending to be adults," when they're in the souvenir shop, and Meilu's trying on like a baseball cap and asking Yai how it looks, and it's the same color green as the stupid plant hat she wore in the episode where her hair got fried by Alekman.
This
The
anime,
color green.
in the early episodes at least, this anime has a real problem with 30-year-old adults feeling inferior and limp-dicked compared to children.
I think it's an
That's
issue of
kinda
the
just a
formula
trope in
of the show that more than anything else. You took Battle Network and you showed the antagonists off, and
Yeah.
you wanted to make a children's anime about it, but you had these prominent characters that were not children. So you set up the N1GP as like this thing that all the kids love to do. And then you get this patrol of like 30 to 50-year-old, I'm guessing Count Zap's a lot older in the games, 30 to 50-year-old nobodies that just show up and they're like, we're here to ruin children's days.
Fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids.
Literally, we're here to destroy their smiles because that's what the World 3 wants more than anything in this world. Like, okay, that's fine.
So
I don't think they ever actually confirm ages for any of these characters.
they don't. But you can tell.
In the JP for this episode, Maddie claims she's like 22 or something, and everybody starts laughing at her, and Meilu says she's wearing way too much makeup, so you're led to believe she's over the hill, so to speak, right? She's over 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and-
is absolutely a thing where you have the you have I want to say elderly. You have an older woman who is, early 30s, maybe even late 30s, but takes on way too much makeup and tries to pass herself off as a 25, 30-year-old. Which is common in Japan, like really common, because Japanese women in particular age pretty gracefully, like I still have trouble determining if somebody is in their 20s, 30s, just passing them on the street,
Right.
Combination of
I've seen the meme where it's
good
like,
makeup skills,
Asian
and
women in
taking
their
care of your
20s,
skin.
Asian women in their 30s, Asian women in their 40s, and then you hit like 60, and all of a sudden it becomes very apparent. It's like Dragon Ball Z Saiyan aging, where you go from being like a little kid, and then you turn 14 and you gain like 3 feet of height.
You hit 60 and there's just like a poof, like oolong transforming back into a fucking pig.
Something like that.
Well,
Not literally into a pig. That's an unfortunate metaphor you've crafted. But
yeah, I was about to say.
Oolong transforming in general. The fucking anime just,
Yes.
we're gonna hide the transformation sequence.
Very-
oh no.
very
they fucking
Very
transformed.
misogynistic of you, Shorah. I'm just kidding.
Happy Pride,
okay.
everybody.
we forgive
I can go
those.
get Carl if we want.
No.
We forgive those.
No, not after that clip.
Can't believe Carl hates women. Carl, I love you. Please don't hate me. All right. So Meilu goes up against Maddie because Maddie is mean. Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that she goes to war over Meilu's like calling a child, "Oh, you've got a flat chest." Like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah.
You can't compare to me in the battlefield of womanhood. Yeah, she's 11.
Yeah.
And then she looks at Yai and goes, "Oh, your skin's oily and you've got the biggest forehead in the universe. Die."
Now that
And I clapped.
That's a Chekhov's gun.
to
I
be
clapped
fair.
when she said that.
Yeah, to be fair, Yai's head does look like a gumball. But so they go up
He
against
deserves it.
each other, and we also have this kind of like other storyline because Lan is getting ready for his match with Mr. Match, or I guess I should say rematch with Mr. Match.
But
match.
rematch. Get it? I have the same
Blistering
thing.
bagpipes.
Blistering bagpipes.
They said the thing.
And then, look, I'm not even gonna drag this episode out. If I'm being honest, Meilu wins against Maddie. There's not a single fucking thing in my notes that I wrote down that is funny about this episode, because we're in the tournament. It's like the worst part of the tournament arc of an anime. You have a character that is supposed to be a bad guy in Maddie, but is not the bad guy. It's just like an ancillary bad guy character going up against the side character. No offense against Meilu. I love Meilu as a character. It's just she's a supporting cast member. Yeah. And so we have these two characters fighting each other, and it's boring.
I mean, even the battle chip that Yai gave to Melu was kind of garbage in this situation. To be too realistic
don't
about
even
it.
remember.
It was
I honestly
Trilance.
don't even remember.
It was Trilance.
Trilance.
Yeah,
right.
BN1 Trilance sucks,
yeah, the
by the
blue
way. Like, it just... it had, I think it was grayed out. It was the classic one, but it doesn't matter. 30 damage 3 times. But it flashes after the first hit against bosses. Do you want Melu to lose? Yeah,
exactly.
Is that what we're doing here?
Well, I mean, I know this is anime world where the battle chips do take on different properties, but I think in this one it doesn't. It just fires 3 lances. Like
it summons the virus and it fires 1 lance. I think sometimes
that's
it
right.
3, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
This show.
Yeah,
okay.
This
me-
episode sure does just exist, I guess.
Yeah, let me say that NT Warrior does get better. It's just these initial episodes are strictly just
Bad.
Villain of the week, tournament
Stinky
arc,
doo-doo poo-poo.
stinky doo doo. You remember the tournament arc in Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah.
Everybody
I
does.
watched Yu Yu Hakusho once.
Everybody
Some
does.
of the best parts of Yu Yu.
Some of the best parts of Yu Yu. Even the jobbers in the tournament arc are still threatening for an episode or 2, right?
Behold my ultimate attack. 2 yo-yos.
Tournament arcs are synonymous with we need to get hype and we need to show off some cool shit.
Right.
What do? A tournament arc. That's why My Hero has one within like 20 fucking chapters.
It's also how you introduce a lot of the side cast in a very natural way.
Mhm.
It's difficult for like a grounded, like stationary character like Deku, where he's really just kind of locked down into UA, or like Yusuke, who's kind of just like wearing Botan's leash as he walks around,
Right.
to put himself in a position where he's gonna go meet Jin, go meet I even forget his name,
Toguro.
Big Rip, Totoro. But it's a way to gather characters that the artist or the writer wants to include in a way that seems more natural than just they showed up one day.
Or sorry,
So-
let me clarify. Yusuke meets Toguro on a completely unrelated mission, and then he gets invited to the tournament because Toguro is a badass and sees potential in Yusuke for like an actual fight.
Yeah, Toguro just looks at this child and goes, I want to kill him.
Yeah. I want to fight this child, but he's got to get stronger. So yeah, that's the good tournament arc. And like I said, even the jobbers in that tournament arc were still extremely cool and interesting, and the fights were thought out in the way that it makes sense within the world, right? Maddie
and we get Green Man.
We get Green Man, and we get Rocket Man,
Drill Man,
and we get Maddie and fucking Wacky Tobacco.
The only other interesting thing that happened in this fight, aside from Yai's forehead blinding Mad at the crucial moment because she's cheating with her compact mirror,
with her chrome,
is Roll shows off this ability that I think she also has in BN4, and I don't know if this came out before or after BN4, where she can actually take control of ads in the fight, like Wacko Man's little tiny clones that he makes that shoot the fire in the Aqua Towers. She's like, yeah, those are mine now.
Yeah, it's like a charm almost, kind of.
Yeah.
Not
one
exactly,
of
but yeah.
The undersung Recov Navi abilities. I really like that.
Yeah.
That's also what heal Navis do in BN4, if you know BN4's history of typos. So it makes a little sense.
So yeah, Melu wins, and we're just gonna move on because we do get some more interesting stuff in the next couple episodes. But yeah, so that was episode 12. Episode 13 is Wacky Madness and Blazing Battles Part 2. Who wants to take this one?
Also known as Red Hot Net Battle.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I can take it.
See, now
okay.
This is where it actually good.
So I think this one starts out. No, I know this one starts out. We're getting a recap of what's been happening from the previous episode because, like we said, half of, or probably more like 10% of episode 12 was dedicated to setting up the fight between Lan and Mr. Match.
Mm-hmm.
So One thing I really liked in the opening here, there's an exchange between Megaman and Torchman. I'm going to call him Torchman because that's just what fits in my mind. Where Land pops in a barrier chip, like at the millisecond that Torchman uses firearm, and then Megaman goes for a slash that should have just been a stab to the emblem with a sword battle chip. Very well placed, like really showcasing Land's reaction time there. And then I believe that's when Match's Gambit starts. You see, you can't have a World 3 operator trying to win anything fair and square. You know, it can't just
God
be
forbid.
Match proving that he's better than this 11-year-old boy by his own merit. He has to cheat. So all of a sudden, the dome to the entire stadium closes, and I think the power goes out. Yep, power gets cut. And we get a little bit of reused animation here. If you guys remember when Chad used peeled Mega Man to fight Not Gutsman as his character introduction, one of the screens is showing another fight that's going on that is just that fight, and it cuts out when
they
the
just
power gets
reuse
cut.
that footage.
It literally just reused.
What you see when you gotta make a show on a budget, right? You gotta reuse things whenever possible.
Yeah, we gotta bring back peeled Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fan favorite at this point. Well, we can't just abandon him. We spent so much time on that character design.
I would pilot peeled Mega Man if I had the opportunity to.
That's fair. But yeah, apparently Match played Boktai, and he knows how the sun works, so he's installed one of those little solar panels inside his PET, and now Torchman has incredible power. Naturally, because of the cheating that's happening, you know, Land's friends, Yai, Dex, Toru, jump into action. And their first instinct to find the issue that's happening here is to go jack into a couple of payphones on the lobby of the stadium. I don't know about you guys. I don't think that the internet-connected telephones should go right to the mainframe of, like, the primary operations of the entire building. I get that the Internet of Things is the Internet of Things, but this is a little too convenient for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like plot to rig a match, turning up the heat in a stadium using viruses is actually kind of ingenious, especially if your whole thing is fire. Like I like the conceit of this match, of this episode rather, because what are you gonna do if you're a fire-based net Navi? Or loser like Mr. Match, and your gimmick is setting things on fire, but you're in a stadium, which, by the way, the stadium is like on the coast and kind of situated over the ocean. So ready water supply. What are you gonna do? Solar power.
Amid arson.
They even made a point when they talked about the construction of the ring or the stadium, I think, when it was introduced, that it was run entirely off of solar power. So this is using
oh my god, it's connecting a plot point that was mentioned earlier in the anime to
continuity between episodes.
Fuck. Shit, dude.
The writers were thinking about something. That's crazy.
That's wild.
Couldn't happen in my Battle Network. As a result of the solar energy, Torchman has become scalding hot all around. He's actually activated his lava stage battle chip. The ground is turning into hot lava, but for real this time.
And Lan is also suffering from heat stroke.
Right, like it's directly in the ring where all of this heat is just being projected. And Match, because he's made of tougher stuff, he's just built different, is not too affected by any of this. But Lan is kind of suffering, to the point where he's about to pass out. And I think right when he does, in the JP at the very least, they slow down Meilu's voice when he's about to pass out. And it gets really deep, and it's hilarious. I had to stop for like 20 seconds because I was laughing. So it's like... So you see Lan dying here. Just immersion shattered. Any semblance of this being a serious moment goes entirely out the window the second Meilu says that.
So good. So I mean, yeah, this was definitely in my opinion, this is probably the best episode of the tournament arc so far.
It was definitely the one they wanted to focus on.
It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
You get a good exchange between Megaman and Torchman. You get Lan's friends being useful for once because lo and
Including
behold,
Tori. Tori's actually doing something in this episode.
yeah, Tori is Iceman makes a lot of sense here, right? It's
Right.
the fire themed threat, and it's the ice themed Navi that's coming up against it. So they are able to fight off all the viruses. I do think they get a little bit of help from one of the Commander Beef trio towards the end, but they're able to kill all the viruses and fix the heat, so Lan can wake up and actually fight match. He just downed a liter of Bakari sweat or whatever after the lights turned back on.
Mr. Match is mad that he lost, but sucks to be him. Shouldn't have been a W3 loser. And as much as I liked this episode, we also have really not a whole lot to say about it, because
I think the most memorable part for me, aside from that one exchange between Megaman and Torchman at the beginning, was Chod's line at the very end. This is like the quintessential the quintessential rival moment in anime, right? He says, "You put on a good show, but that wasn't much of a fight," or that was the worst fight I'd seen today.
An underhanded compliment,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was a flashy showing. You did a good job putting entertaining the audience, but if that was a real fight, you suck.
Yeah. Which
I'm so much better than you.
Which does lead into the next episode. So
wait, I got
ahead.
one quote that's in my notes because I don't remember jack shit from this group of episodes. I think he busted my burner.
So,
and then right at the very end, we have to see Woodman absolutely destroying Numberman.
So full disclosure, I did watch all these episodes 2 weeks ago when we were supposed to record, and I wrote my notes, but I didn't save my notes in Word, and so my computer rebooted because I was installing Valheim mods, and when it came back, Word did not save my document. So all my notes are gone. I'm operating purely off of memory right now. And I know I wrote that pun down because I remember writing it, but I couldn't remember that I had written it. So thank you very much for reminding me about the burner line. That is fucking excellent.
No problem. I'm trying my best to remember because I'm coming off of almost staying up for 24 hours yesterday.
You're on Japan time now, buddy.
Yep.
I remember the next two episodes actually being pretty okay. I'm just trying to remember exactly how things happen.
So
I know the next episode, what is it? Episode 14? I think it's Street Fight?
Yeah.
Yep, I understand.
Haha, I get it.
A Capcom anime being called Street Fight for one episode.
I don't.
Crazy.
It's a mandatory day off for the tournament.
I don't remember much about Street Fight. I do remember the next episode, the last one we're going to talk about. But Street Fight, all I remember is Chad and Lan get into a pissing contest.
Yeah,
so right
this
at
one
the
starts
start...
off to be. It starts off feeling like it's going to be a filler episode because Yai's invited everyone out to a fancy restaurant to celebrate, the first couple of rounds of the fucking tournament. But when they get to the tournament, Chad is sitting in their fucking seat, and this pisses Lan off badly.
The restaurant? Yeah, because it was the room Yai wanted to reserve. We do get the introduction of Stone Man and Bomb Man this time around. Things work a little bit differently in the anime than from the games. They're apparently a tag team of solo navies that work for World 3, and they're supposed to be like Wily's most powerful weapons.
Which is kind of accurate to the games in a weird way, because they were also solo navies there. They never had operators associated with them.
Yeah, but Stone Man was a jobber. You beat him as the
Stone Man was
boss.
that, yeah.
Yeah, in the anime, you can properly speak.
Oh yeah, that's not canon. Sorry, the anime is trash. I need my
I need gok 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 just repeated over and over again for 10 minutes straight.
And then in parentheses, you need to translate in perfect English for me, please. And then Bomb Man needs to speak entirely in lead speak, otherwise it's not real.
God,
who are you?
Yeah, so
see, I just translate that to be Bomb Man speaking in a shitty Brooklyn Joey-esque accent.
See, that was my
guy.
Yeah, that's my head. That's my head canon whenever I think about Bomb Man, is I think he's speaking in a fucking greaser Brooklyn accent. like how Yukki would sound.
Who the fuck is you?
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
There you go. There you have it, folks. Program Events Podcast confirms all terrorism happens in New York.
Specifically by Yukki.
I cannot
And
confirm
anyone with a
nor
Brooklyn
deny.
accent.
Yukki,
Those
where were
Brooklynites, they
you
just
on the
love
day?
throwing bombs at stuff. Just boom, boom, boom.
Yukki,
all
where
over
were
the place.
you on September 11th?
Look, my lawyer said not to talk about that day in public. All right,
Is that why when I
can't
asked
say anything.
in the very first episode, is that why when I asked, do you remember where you were on 9/11? And you were awfully quiet. I don't know. It's pretty shady.
So anyway, Land's dad's enabling bad behavior by giving him a program advance for his not birthday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about program advance real quick. As a concept, it is extremely fucking cool. Okay, the ability to, because Battle Network, the games are they're card games essentially. They're card action games. You draw 5.
Yeah.
Okay?
The technical term is data action RPG.
I will
Actually,
fucking kill you.
What the?
Date these nuts.
Yeah, exactly. So the concept of a program advance where you combine these cards in a very specific order to get a super card is extremely cool. Okay, when I first discovered program advance as a young child, I remember literally thinking this is the coolest thing ever, because I was big on card games as a kid. I played Pokemon. I played the World of Warcraft trading card game, Yu-Gi-Oh, way back in the day. So it appealed to me specifically a lot, and I'm sure it appealed to a lot of people. So on paper, very cool. In practice, fucking trash. I can't think of a program advance except like okay. Okay, I can think of program advances. I'm trying to think of a useful program advance compared to just not
anything in S code and BN5. So Big Noise,
Yep.
the one with
Big Noise. Yeah,
Big
Big Noise is
Noise.
good. Yeah.
What the other
Wild
one, the
Bird.
Yeah, Wild Bird is another one.
don't
Life
think I've-
Sword, ironically, also one of the more useful ones.
I don't think
In
I've ever
Chrono
used
X, the
Wild
Tornado
Bird.
Gun PA that comes in Y code, that's just a gigantic field nuke.
Yeah.
The most useful program advances are ones that come in mono code, specifically because you don't have to interrupt your folder flow.
Right.
If you're trying to make like Giga Cannon, you need A, B, and C. I hope you make your entire folder in A, B, and C because you don't have room for anything else. If you try to run like G or H, you're gonna just be sitting on these chips for no reason.
For several turns.
So-
And also A, B, and C is not a fucking useful folder letter in any capacity. Well, I think
It depends on the game.
It depends
A
on
is
the
very
game. I
useful
think-
early game 6.
yeah, that's right. But if we're talking strictly like 5, where some program advances are really useful, because I think then in 6, I don't really remember, but a lot of the program advances are not mono-coded.
I believe that's the case. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of them are not
Yeah.
going to be because most of them are just like combine 3 of the same type in the 3-letter sequence to get the program advance. So you have like Hyperburst, you have like Big Hook, you have what else am I thinking of? I don't know. I don't use program advances, so I can't think of
Right,
it.
exactly.
Uh,
And I believe that
Let's
was
see.
I believe that was done.
Program
in-
advances in Battle Network 1 were effectively
No,
uh,
Z cannon, like
Doctor.
fucking
Beta
Yeah.
sword. Do you want to be a beta and use
Well,
swords?
I'm
We've got the
I'm looking at the
program
ones
advance
that would have
for
been
you.
accurate to these episodes because these episodes are effectively covering Battle Network 1.
That is true. That you know
Yeah,
what?
so-
That is true.
Magic Man does call it Beta Sword. I'll give him credit there, even though by the time the anime came out, it was called Dream Sword or Life Sword, depending on your language of choice.
Which, like, yeah, looking at these, I can definitely see why I never fucking stumbled across any of these playing the fucking game. It's not like I was ever intentionally putting together, oh, I need to put in a whole bunch of cannons in the exact fucking A, B, C, D, E, F, G
That
order.
just tells me
Fuck
you didn't talk to NPCs, because the NPCs also tell you about this. This is the
Yeah,
weird
fuck
Oh
those
thing.
no, I
monkeys
talked to
stuff.
NPCs. I just also played the game how I fucking wanted to.
Well,
I was the kind of kid who was like, my entire folder's area steel and sword.
so I will say that as a kid, I was like super into bombs. Wait, let me rephrase that. Okay.
No,
Where
it's
were
fine.
you on September 11th, huh?
That was
We're right
the point I
back to
made
this.
right after we got the program advance. Lan was talking about, hey, I have a lot of swords and this area grab and basically nothing else. We should probably get different battle chips. And I
Well,
was like, yeah, Lan, you should kill Sal and then go to Internet 16 for those Quake 3Cs. It's the best battle chip in the game. And then she just magically appears.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so as a kid playing Battle Network, I was into bomb chips. And so I really did try as a kid to build my folder around like B-bomb, right, as a program advance, or B-Quake, because Quake is basically a bomb, or S-bomb, you know, like I kept trying to build bombs into my chip folder, but I was a kid and I didn't know any better, and now that I do know better, just don't fucking use program advance. Like it's not good.
Even back in BN1, there were some ideas that were just bad. Like there'd be 3-chip versions of a program advance, and then there'd be a 4-chip version of that same one that was more powerful.
Yeah,
So
and
I
then
think,
there'd be a
like, there
5-chip
used to be-
version that was incredibly powerful if you could fucking pull it off.
Was there a 5-chip PA in BN1?
Yeah, the Omega one.
Yeah, the Omega one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
so...
I need Omega Rat.
Yeah.
Omega
Yeah.
Rat. Shout out to Cheese.
Use rat.
Shout out to Cheese.
Shout outs to Cheese.
They also never did any damage for what you were giving up and how long you had to wait. Final Gun did 200.
Oh yeah,
Final
that's
Gun
right.
was an
Yeah,
awful program advance. It's 4 chips. It's like shotgun, cross gun, spreader, and I think M cannon.
Yep.
And then you get a 200 damage AoE shot that freezes time.
I think the highest damaging program advance from Battle Network 1 might have been the Gutsman one, which is hilarious.
Yeah, Guts Shoot.
Which only
damage.
caps out at 500, yeah.
That's still a lot of damage for me. That's half of like any boss's HP.
It's good damage, but I'm gonna be real with you. If I'm using a fucking character-based program advance, I'm using the Proto Man Megaman team-up one. That one's way fucking better. Double Hero's great.
It was also super cheap for Guts Shoot. What was it, like Shield Dash Gutsman?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Metguard
we,
G, Dash Attack G, Gutsman V1, 2, or 3G.
And
That's why we manip for it during speedruns, because it's just that easy.
I was about to say, it is that easy
to abuse.
And when you're fighting like fucking Pharaoh Man or any of the late game bosses, it literally takes away half their HP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like there's
Can't
no reason
cut through
not
barriers, can't bypass solid objects, though.
Well, yeah, but just get good at that point. You know,
True.
Don't hit those. Anyways,
shit, you right.
Sorry. So yeah, Street Fight. So Yai recovering from the potential heat stroke. Everybody's like, man, this tournament is really exciting, and Yai decides to take him out to a restaurant that her family, I believe, owns. I just assume everything Yai.
It's not that they own it; it's that they're like preferred patrons of this restaurant.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Because they make a big deal about.
They have the default room
make-
reservation, right?
Yeah, and they make a big deal about like, oh well, you know, Sho's family is more important than the Yai family, so fuck you.
I thought it was just that he got there first, at least in the JP. It's like, sorry, someone's already in that room, and then Yai's like, what?
And in the English dub, it was that his family is like more powerful, richer, or like just better than Yai's. Effectively.
I just assume that anytime Yai takes the gang to a location, the family owns it. But I do have a tough time believing that Child's family is somehow more wealthy and or powerful than Yai's family, who owns a mansion with like infinite acres of land, all of which are covered in traps, private fighter jets, private everything.
But you see, Chad's family owns the internet.
Yeah, basically.
I
you know
think
what?
they've mentioned
You're
this
right.
already
Yeah.
in the anime.
It's
right.
still
They
IPC
make
father
anime,
is
right?
They make the PTs.
Yeah, they do.
His father's like the owner of Blaze Quest Games in the anime or something.
So it's a rival game company then. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still
fair
IPC in the JP dub. And it's really funny when Chad comes down after Yai's throwing a fit about her not being able to get a reservation because he's there. He says, even if the food here is good, if those numbskulls over at Gabcom with their brain dead this isn't a direct quote, this is me paraphrase, with their brain dead modern controls like to eat here, then I guess it's no better than casual filth. I'll make myself scarce. He just says, "Oh, if your family eats here, I can't eat here anymore. You're trash."
Well, it's funny you bring up modern and casual and all that other shit because the big discussion right now with Street Fighter 6, another Capcom property, also the episode is called Street Fight, is that Street Fighter 6 has introduced modern controls, which are simplified controls that allow you to do auto combos just by hitting the same button. The downside is you don't have as many options as somebody playing on classic controls.
And I think it's the 20% damage cut?
And a damage cut, that's correct. Which for some characters that's a big deal, for others it's really not. Like Marissa on modern controls still does fucking bonkers damage if she hits you. Anyways, and so there's this big thing going on with like these incredibly salty losers that are like, yeah, man, if I play somebody who's using modern controls and I lose to them, I just block them. That way I don't ever have to fight them again because they're cheating. They're basically cheating. And I'm like, what? If you weren't going to beat them using with a handicap, because it is basically a handicap. If you can't beat them with a handicap, brother, you don't need to be playing fighting games. Like, if you're going to whine about it.
Oh, I made the argument here when we first talked about it that there should be just like two different lobbies, one for classic and one for modern controls. I think the game is fundamentally different enough that it warrants it. I don't know enough about Street Fighter or Street Fighter 6 in general to make a call as to whether or not one is easier or better or worse or a handicap or not.
So
I just think it's a different game.
It is, and people who cannot get into fighting games, for whatever reason, maybe they have trouble with the inputs, maybe they're just not interested in learning, sitting in the lab and learning combos, whatever, that's fine. It's cool. I understand fighting games are not for everybody, but they are for people that do genuinely enjoy improvements. And so with the modern classic debate, if there's no debate, but the argument is if you're getting ball slapped by somebody on modern controls, right? It's because they're doing combos that are connecting simply by the fact that they're hitting one button, right?
Right.
If you're playing classic and you're trying to climb the ladder and you're playing online, guarantee you would play somebody also using classic who can do those same combos or better on command every time. There's no fucking difference. All right. If you were going to get hit by the combo, you were going to get hit by the combo. What it boils down to is people are unwilling to improve. They're unwilling to learn how to block. They're unwilling how to learn how to deal with certain situations. And so they take their frustration out on the fact that, oh, they're using modern controls. It's so easy for them to do a combo. Bitch, if you were in gold lobby, you were going to get hit by that combo anyways. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. So I don't think they need to be separated. I think people need to stop being babies.
Interesting.
But that's just my take on it. I've been, I'm by no means like a fighting game guru. I've been playing since Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, but I don't play seriously. Like I hop on, I buy the latest Street Fighter, I play a couple rounds, I play with my friends. I'll occasionally go to a tournament, and or if I pop into an arcade here, I'll play with people if they're playing. Like, I'm not super committed to it. I just think it's weird for people to be whining about modern. I don't know why.
When you get to a competitive enough scene, any difference can be spun into an unfair advantage or an unfair disadvantage, right? If the two people are not playing fundamentally the same game, then it's a different measure of skill. And if you are concerned with the challenge of it, any small difference that can be perceived, like even just like the input speed, right? If it takes you, 0.2 of a second to put in the combo for to put in the combo for, I don't know, Shoryuken. I know it's probably a stupid one, but whatever. And it takes the other guy, 0.1 seconds because he just has to press the one button. It does make sense that there is that time difference there. And when you get down into like the super competitive of it, that amount of time does count. If it's like gold lobbies and people don't have the reaction time where that extra 0.1 seconds or whatever it is makes it different, I see what you're saying. But I do think that like a competitive level, you shouldn't pair the two together, right?
At a competitive level, that time difference doesn't
Professional level or
exist.
whatever.
It doesn't exist. Okay, if using your Shoryuken example, right? Shoryuken input is down, forward, punch, right?
Sure.
It takes a fraction of a second to do that. If you've got the muscle memory, you are rotating your thumb on the D-pad, or you're using the joystick, or if you're using a hitbox, you're tapping the buttons. It takes pop. That's it. It takes no time at all. And at a competitive level, it's like if you're going to tournament, excuse me, if you're going to tournaments at a competitive level, you're expected to know the inputs for your character. So you're not sitting there like looking at your hands going, oh man, should I half circle back, flash kick? Like, no, you know what to do. And so the divide from modern to classic really doesn't exist outside of an accessibility and entry level point for people who struggle with memorizing combo strings or whatever, because that's where that comes into a competitive, is how to chain your attacks together in a way that maximizes damage or maximizes corner carry or whatever. Modern just makes it easier to do at the cost of some damage, right? But yeah, like, I don't even know how we got on this tangent.
I made a comment about branded modern controls because
that's right.
MLG Pro gamer, and this one it says that Yai's family is garbage, and so is Capcom.
I'm sorry,
which is funny for Capcom.
I blame Shad.
Yeah, fuck you, Chad.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Anyway, so Lan, Chad basically tells them to go fuck off. So Lan wants to protect Yai and his friends, so challenges him to a street fight net battle.
And he runs into the middle of the road to do so.
Yeah, because these kids are not going to fist fight, because nobody gets into fist fights in this world.
Oh God, I hope they should.
They would. I wish they would.
Look, all I'm saying is I would love it if downtown anywhere, anytime like a street fight broke out, all the advertisements on all the billboards everywhere just flipped over to CCTV footage of it. Mm-hmm. I just don't think the advertisers that are paying for that time slot would be very happy. And that's literally what happens when they start their net battle.
Now, so they get into this net battle, right? And because their net battle is so incredibly cool and powerful, viruses appear. This is how the viewer, right? So let's imagine that you're a viewer of this anime who has never played the games. This is how you're introduced to a program advance. Lan completely unintentionally puts chips in the correct order to summon what program advances?
Beta Sword.
Beta Sword, thank you.
Beta
Sword. I couldn't remember if it was Beta Sword or Sigma Sword. Is Sigma Sword even a thing?
No.
Am I just thinking of Sigma from the Megaman games?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh boy. Man, you can tell I've been drinking.
Still?
Well, no, I'm drinking water now because I've got a headache.
Good for you.
All the time.
I'm glad you're staying hydrated. That's what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. So he brings out Beta Sword, and this is how the audience is introduced to the program advance. Now, because this is the early episodes of NT Warrior, right? Program advance, like this is the cool gimmick of the show. Every character has like this power up moment in anime. Goku, hits the hyperbolic time chamber and turns Super Saiyan. I don't even remember if that's how he activates Super Saiyan for the first time.
It's not.
It's been so long since I've watched Dragon Ball Z, dude.
So the time chamber was mastering the form, so you could stay in it constantly. The actual first form was after Frieza killed Krillin.
That's right. So this is how you're introduced to the really cool power of Program Advance. Now, it would be weird if this cool power, because up until now we've just known that Megaman's a badass. We don't know why he's a badass. We just know that he's really capable at killing enemies all the time, right? Like he beats Gutsman almost 30 to 1 or 30 to none. Sorry, 30 to none in a previous episode. So we don't know why Mega Man is so good at his job. And then we're introduced to the power. Wouldn't it be really like undermining if somebody else could also use that power and like they immediately show that other people can use this power in the very next episode?
I see what
Wouldn't
you're
it be
saying.
fucked up?
I have thoughts.
Okay.
So
Wouldn't it be fucked up if they, spent an entire episode and a half talking about the legendary fucking level of power that this new ability is, only to immediately have, someone else fucking do it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
do it
that's,
right
yeah, that's what I'm
first
getting
fucking
at.
time.
Yeah.
Specifically, just doing it, not even, I need to use this program advance to win this fight. No, I'm just going to do it to show off. That's how fat my cock is.
Yeah, exactly.
you can't even see me showing off. I'm just gonna ride on the satisfaction of knowing I showed off. I don't care if you saw.
So if it weren't apparent, we're chaining Street Fight into the next episode, which is called the Legendary Program Advance, or the Japanese title, which is Intensive Training Program Advance. Because Lan discovers this power during his pissing match with Child and the viruses, and he wants to perfect it. Right? He wants to get better at using the Program Advance, so he starts training. However,
Which I found weird.
Right.
And this gets into kind of my thoughts. So I do like where you're going with that. I see that like Lan's dad made Mega Man, and then Lan's dad was the one who sent him long swords. So it's like, hey, use this in a combination.
Right.
It was a hint at the program advance. Like Lan's dad knows. Yeah, Lan's dad's a really cool guy. He knows a lot about net battling, apparently. Crafted Mega Man for the program advance. But to the show's credit, the program advance doesn't just exist for Mega Man. It has to have been done by somebody else for it to even be a thing. Yeah. I don't like the fact that they tried to cram full synchro and the program advance into the same plot point.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think that they should have stayed completely separate entities. And because this episode came out in Japan in let me check my Wikipedia page that I'm using here. 2002, June 2002, which I believe full synchro.
That wasn't until BN4, which was 2000, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, so this episode came out a couple years in advance before full synchro, but they're taking the ideas and kind of shoving them together. Because Mega Man does not have a defining ability or trait. He's just extremely proficient at virus busting. Right?
Well, hold on, back up. It wasn't BN4 for full synchro. I'm wrong. BN1 had the first instance of full synchro where it relied on the hub plot point where Dr. Akari's a necromancer.
Yeah. They don't drop the name.
They don't.
The end of 3.
Right. But the concept that Mega Man and Lan are like really in tune does exist from Mega Man Battle Network 1.
Correct.
It's just not called full synchro until 3 or 4 or whenever. But the thing is, Mega Man does not have a defined power. He's just extremely good. And so Program Advance, what I'm getting at is Program Advance is the first instance of Lan and Mega Man being able to tap into this unique protagonist power, right? I think it undermines it a little bit by immediately turning out that it's actually not a unique thing. Anybody can do it if they know how to put, B after A. Right? Like it's not a legendary power, but they're hyping it up to be this legendary power. So I guess what I'm getting at is they should have not shown that Child can also immediately use it. Maybe he can, because obviously Child is really good at net battling, but it kind of undermines the whole thing.
Especially the literal next episode. Like Lan just figured out this thing exists, and Child is already a master of it.
At least also show him like struggling a little bit with it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to make Program Advance this legendary power for the early episodes, totally understand. Fucking like string it out a bit, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, Lan just unlocked this cool new power and he's training to use it so he can beat the fuck out of Magic Man. Great, that's awesome. Maybe Child's going like, he unlocked Program Advance, something that I struggle with. But no, Child can just immediately do it, and he uses it to kick Count Zap out of the tournament.
Not quite. No, he cheats in that episode. Never mind. You're right.
Yeah, you don't even see it. It's just a thing. Child can do it.
Yep. I think that. Well, I'll back up. So you know how at the beginning of Mega Man X, I'm absolutely referencing sequelitis here, so don't think it's because I played Mega Man X recently. Not. Where Vile says, Mega Man, you suck, you're garbage, X, you can't beat me, and then Zero shows up on screen and handles the entire fight for you.
Right.
And he says, hey, maybe one day you'll be as strong as me because you have a lot of potential.
Right.
I almost see it as more of that now in retrospect, where for the entire arc that Chad has been around, he's been better than Lan. He said, Lan, I'm better than you. Lan, you're putting on a show, but it's not a real fight. You're pathetic. You suck. And this is like evidence that Chad is like at a level above Lan. So it's not so much that Mega Man now has this really cool protagonist power and then Chad just copies him. It's that people of a certain level of skill can use the program advance, and Chad is at that level, but Mega Man and Lan are not yet. So to beat Proto Man at all, they're going to have to be there.
Okay. I see where you're coming from, and I can definitely understand that. I don't know. I just think the pacing of this group of episodes is kind of rushed, yeah. Which would make sense, because I do believe that the development of this anime was meant to tie into the games as they were coming out, like as an additional marketing thing. And they definitely were under a deadline. So
does make sense.
Now technically, if Bio were here, we would just also do the next episode. Bio's not, so I think doing 4 episodes is great, especially since it's been like 2 to 3 weeks since we've watched these episodes.
Yeah, he's back in just a little.
Yeah, so the next episode we do will definitely be a little bit more prepared. We won't have as much of a break from watching these episodes and taking notes to actually recording, and we also won't be distracted with a major game release.
Until Spider-Man 2. At least for me.
For you, I literally could not care less about Spider-Man.
I'm actually really interested. That's gonna
so
suck up
okay.
all my
I need to hear Yuri Lowenthal go back into Sasuke. Okay.
They ruined his face. What did they do to his face? I'm still mad about the HD remake.
Let me clarify. I
still have yet to play the original game, so I'm thinking about doing a stream series where I play through it with mods, specifically to make fucking Spider-Man into Kermit.
Okay, that's funny. I will say that the trailer they showed where Venom is just fucking up a bunch of dudes, that is cool. I am interested on that part alone, but for me, superheroes are not interesting. The modern like movie stuff. Some comics are interesting. I've read them; they're great, but I don't really give a fuck about Spider-Man or Marvel stuff in general.
That's fair.
No, the only game that's coming out in the future that I'm really excited for is Alan Wake 2. Which
that's
fair.
I don't mean anything by this, but
okay, let me
we just got really quiet when we said Alan Wake. I've never played Alan Wake, so
if you like Twin Peaks, all right,
never heard of it.
What?
The show, the movie,
oh my god. Okay, Twin Peaks is a seminal work of David Lynch. It is a absolutely wonderful show. It's a thriller / detective / horror. It is really hard to classify, but it is worth watching. It is extremely good. Alan Wake borrows a lot of those concepts. It is a thriller / horror / action game. It is not that long. It'll run you maybe 10 hours. It's got a sequel. It's got another sequel that's not really a sequel, but it ties into the world because Remedy is insane and they like to tie all of their games together, even if they're not, directly related. And then it's getting its true sequel in October. A game that came out not recently, a couple years ago, called Control. Might have heard of it. That ties into the Alan Wake universe.
I see.
Okay, Alan Wake is like $15 on Steam at most. Like the remastered version on Epic Games is probably like $20 to $30. You should go buy it and play it, all of you. It's really good.
$4.50 right now, actually, because Steam Summer Sale.
Fucking incredible. It does show its age. It's definitely got that, because it came out for the PlayStation 3, I believe. So it does have some age to it, but it's still worth going through. If the age thing, like how rough it looks, bothers you, go get the remastered version on Epic Game Store. If you have PlayStation Plus, it's free this month. The remastered version.
Oh, heck yeah, I have that.
Okay, if you have PlayStation Plus, go get the remastered version. It's free. Go fucking play it. It's extremely good. You don't need to worry about American Nightmare, which is like the DLC thing. Don't worry about that. And then I would also recommend buying and playing Control, which might also be on sale. I don't know. Let me check. Oh god, I forgot I had that open. Yeah, Control Ultimate Edition is $10. $10 on Steam. Go buy it. Go play it. I'm gonna buy a copy because I forgot this is my new Steam account. I'm gonna buy a copy for my Steam account.
There you go.
What are we?
I am now debating picking up fucking the Spider-Man games because they're like 30-ish on CD keys right now. They're actually more expensive on fucking Steam even with the sale. I hate summer sales sometimes.
Isn't CD keys like a gray market thing?
No, it's legitimate.
Oh, is it?
It's
okay.
just people buying keys
Yeah,
when
I've
they're
been
at their
using it.
cheapest. Yeah. It's how I got Monster Hunter Rise. I've never had a problem with CD keys. I think it's like other websites that have been like that.
What is our podcast about again?
Megaman Battle Network.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck is? What the
Maybe
fuck?
not this
that
week,
that
but
thing
maybe
that got a
future.
gotcha game recently? That thing? What the fuck
Oh
is
god.
that?
No,
Did
the
you?
thing where the gotcha game shut down. Oh, by the way, how do you guys feel about offline X dive? See,
Okay.
my catchphrase is gotcha bad. I hate Genshin Impact. I hate Honkai Star Rail. I hate Fire Emblem Heroes. I extra hate Union Cross, Unchained Key, whatever you want to call it. But like, I have nothing but hatred in my heart for gotcha games and their Skinnerbox tendencies. But what do you guys think about offline X dive?
Okay, so I don't.
Never played.
As somebody that has worked in a casino, I understand why you are against gacha games. I don't have a problem with gacha games personally, as long as they're not overly predatory, which on a fundamental level they all are. I get that, but there are some that are more predatory, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like Genshin, that's low on the list. Stuff like Diablo Immortal, that's pretty high on the list, in my opinion. But anyways, I think that it is a very cool act of preservation to take a game that was online only, and all the work and effort that did go into it, because regardless of if you hated Dive, could do its gotcha, whatever, people worked on that. All right, people put genuine effort into level design, character design, artwork, UI, UX. That was a genuine effort put out, right? I think it's really cool to take that effort and instead of just fucking consigning it to the depths of hell, because it's not profitable anymore or whatever, and instead turning it into a product that can be played offline. How much are they planning to charge for this game?
We don't know,
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
heard $60.
Okay, now that is some fucking bullshit. All right, let me clarify. If you're gonna take your free to play game and make it offline and repackage it and sell it, $20 at most. Not a $60 title. I don't care.
There's also the fact that they're taking away anybody's characters that they've gotten, right? I don't care if you were a whale and you shelled out like $100 a week for this game, or you were a free to play player and you put in literally no time. For a game to go offline and say, hey, we're not even going to give you like a key that lets you unlock all the characters that you had with some hex code or whatever, that just that rubs me the wrong way.
I don't think
That is pretty fucked.
it is pretty fucked. I don't think there's a realistic way for them to do that for the millions of people that played X Dive, because that was a game that was extremely popular.
And between
Mass
like
Effect
3
managed
different
to-
servers.
Yeah, exactly, that too.
Mass Effect managed to figure out a way to at least keep things consistent with their games.
Okay, but
Like,
there's a difference between, did you choose the Paragon option or the Renegade option for, these 30 decisions or whatever the fuck, and did you get one of the hundreds of characters on
How many polls did you do? How many copies of characters do you have here? What upgrades were applied to where with what?
Yeah,
that's one beast of an XML file to try to port into an Android game. I get that, but that points towards another issue I have with gacha games, which is just all these distinct and branching upgrade trees. I think Kingdom Hearts Unchained Kai was like a perfect example of this, where you had the keyblades, you had the medals themselves, you had the traits on the medals, you had the guilt on the medals, you had the keychain where you could put medals you weren't using, but they had to be like max guilt or max level or something like that. Then you had novas or hyper bursts or whatever they were called. They just introduced all these different pathways for you to try to make your build stronger. And every week, whatever was strong became too weak to handle the new event. It was incredibly predatory. I think a lot of gacha games fall into that, and it's just not design that is worth preserving in my mind.
I don't disagree to that level. I think that the way Kingdom Hearts UX did it was excessive, because I remember playing that game on launch and going, "Oh wow, I pulled the Zootopia token or whatever the fuck," and it was really powerful on launch. And then I quit playing because I got busy with work. And 6 months later, I tried to jump back in, and that Zootopia token that I had that was really powerful is now completely worthless.
Yes.
The way the speed at which power creep set in for Kingdom Hearts in particular was bad. Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail I will defend here, because even their shittiest characters are still capable of clearing everything except the absolute hardest difficulty dungeon dive thing called Spiral Abyss or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
And even then, people who put in the time and like get the gear and whatnot can make Amber clear Spiral Abyss. Like that to me is the metric. If your shittiest, weakest freebie character can clear the hardest content, then I'm not overly pressed about gacha characters being too good, too bad, whatever. As long as the weakest link can clear it, that's fine. Kingdom Hearts UX, I distinctly remember like some of the later missions. If you just didn't have a certain level of power, you were not clearing it.
I remember it really set in for me because I did used to play UX. When the Organization 13 missions came out, there was some really hard Zennis fight. Yeah. It was like themed after the months, and they just threw the hardest one at us first. And basically, I was like, "Hey, how do you even do this?" And the answer was, "Try again next year."
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
like UX got extra bad in the sense that it wasn't even like 6-month gaps before what was good became useless. It was like 3 weeks. They were pumping out content like crazy. They had no respect for player time or money or whatever, and it really chapped my hide.
No, and yeah, I totally agree. That level of power creep at that speed, that's not sustainable. That's garbage. So with X Dive in particular, I know that the power creep was not like that, because you could reasonably take your shitty little Mega Man X unit, the one that you get for free, and as long as you equipped them with leveled up blasters and weapons, you could reach a pretty decent amount into the content. I do think that at some point you did need to start using some of the higher ranked units, but it wasn't something like, Sigma Summer Edition or whatever the fuck came out, and if you don't have this unit, you can't clear the event or whatever. Like, I don't believe that ever happened in X Dive. So again, I think taking that and putting it offline, and ignoring the logistics of like trying to get everybody their units or whatever, because that's an impossible task. But from a game dev standpoint, that's just, you can't do that. But offering the game in an offline fashion, I think that's cool. It better be $20. If it's 60, if it's 40, Capcom, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't even know if I'd pay it 20, honestly, especially if I wailed for the game. And this is the other big thing, right? I appreciate the offline mode because it does let you have the game even after the servers go down. But like, if they're not going to give you your characters back, and the game was almost entirely about collecting the characters, nice reset.
The game was about collecting the characters and showing those characters off to the other people that are also playing the game via a leaderboard function and the PvP and all that other stuff. So yeah, once you take the online aspect out of it, the only people that are really going to care are the people that just really like Mega Man, right? Like if the offline version is $20, I'll probably spring for it because I love Mega Man and I'll give it another go. I played X Dive and I fell off of it because I wasn't really into it, but I would probably get it at that point. If my sole thing though, because you got to understand there are a group of people there that they just download the latest gacha game, no matter what it is. They toss $1,000 at it. If they get the good units, great. They play it for a couple months and then they jump off and go play another game.
Right.
So you take the online aspect out of it, you take away the competitive part, even the social competitive of just look at all the units I have. Like you take that away, and then it just really becomes for the people who really just like Mega Man. So I'm cool with that. But again,
at least for the people who really liked X Dive,
or the people who really liked X Dive, yeah, that's right. But again, it better not be more than $20, because brother, I cannot imagine paying 40 for that fucking. That's not worth it.
It's too small. And this is my other. I'm ranting about gacha games. I could do this all day. You're making good points. I'm capable of being reasonable. We also are at like the hour and a half mark, and we're out of episodes. This is definitely a Mega Man podcast. I think we should wrap up.
I'm sorry. We did get into a pretty deep discussion. Okay, so yeah, that's the episode. I promise our next one will be better because we'll actually be prepared and we'll have our full cast, and we won't have
our next one. We should be covering the solo net Navi. Something's fishy with Commander Beef. Evil Empress Roll Parts 1 and 2.
Oh no!
Skip those episodes. I'm asking for myself. Can we just skip those episodes?
No. If
hey, so I'm gonna tell you this now. Next episode we can only cover like 4 episodes because otherwise we have to cover 6 because we have 2-parters in a row coming up.
We'll do 4 episodes next week as well. But we will be covering Evil Empress Roll. I'm sorry, but we have to talk about the Devil Chip. This episode is over now. Bye.
Bye.
I got like 7 minutes to get the fuck out of here and go to work.